Leo had never known a life without challenges. Born blind into a family already burdened by poverty, he grew up relying on his other senses to navigate the world. His mother, Maria, had been his guiding light, literally and figuratively. She taught him how to sing when he was just a child, filling their tiny home with melodies that drowned out the hardships they faced daily. But now, at 12 years old, Leo found himself alone on the streets, using his voice not just as an expression of joy but as a means of survival. Maria was sick, gravely so, and the medical bills were piling up faster than Leo could collect coins in his battered tin cup. Each morning, he would sit on the corner of a busy street, clutching his guitar and singing songs that carried both sorrow and hope. Passers-by often ignored him, stepping over his outstretched hand as if he were invisible. Some tossed coins carelessly, barely glancing at the boy whose unseeing eyes held more depth than most could comprehend. The weather was merciless. On cold nights, Leo wrapped himself in tattered blankets, praying the wind wouldn't steal away what little warmth he had left. During rainstorms, he sought shelter under awnings or in alleyways, cradling his guitar like a lifeline. Hunger gnawed at him constantly, but it was nothing compared to the ache in his heart whenever he thought of his mother lying weak and alone in their makeshift shelter, a crumbling shed on the outskirts of town. Despite everything, Leo refused to give up. Every note he sang was infused with love for Maria and a desperate plea for help. He believed that someone, somewhere, would hear him and offer assistance. "Please," he whispered to no one in particular after another long day yielded only a handful of coins. "I just want my mom to get better." As darkness fell, Leo trudged back to the shed, counting the meager earnings from his day. It wasn't enough, not even close, but he clung to hope. Tomorrow was another chance to try again. Little did Leo know, tomorrow would bring something far greater than spare change. Someone was about to hear his song and change his life forever. One particularly cold and rainy evening, Leo sat shivering on his usual street corner, his fingers numb as they strummed the strings of his guitar. The streets were quieter than usual, with only a few hurried pedestrians rushing past him, umbrellas shielding them from the downpour. Leo's voice wavered slightly as he sang, a hauntingly beautiful melody that seemed to echo through the empty streets. It was a song Maria used to hum when he was little, one about hope and resilience. Though his body trembled from the cold, his spirit remained unbroken. Among the few people still out in the storm was Mr. Alexander Hart, a millionaire businessman known for his sharp suits and even sharper mind. That night, however, Alexander wasn't dressed in his usual tailored attire. Instead, he wore a simple coat and carried an umbrella, lost in thought as he walked home from a late meeting. As he passed by Leo, the boy's voice stopped him in his tracks. Alexander turned slowly, intrigued by the raw emotion in the music. He approached Leo cautiously, noticing the worn guitar, the thin blanket draped over his shoulders, and the tin cup half filled with coins. For a moment he simply stood there, listening. There was something profoundly moving about the boy's performance. Not just the technical skill, but the depth of feeling behind each note. When Leo finished the song, Alexander crouched down beside him, careful not to startle him. "That was incredible," Alexander said softly. "You have a gift." Leo tilted his head toward the sound of the voice, surprised by the compliment. "Thank you, sir," he replied politely, though his tone carried a hint of weariness. "Why are you out here singing?" Alexander asked gently. Leo hesitated, unsure whether to trust this stranger. But there was kindness in Alexander's voice, so he decided to answer honestly. "My mom is very sick. I'm trying to raise money for her treatment." Alexander's heart sank. He glanced at the nearly empty tin cup and then back at the frail boy before him. "Where is your mother now?" "In a shed near the edge of town," Leo explained. "It's not much, but it keeps us dry most of the time." Alexander nodded, his mind racing. He had seen poverty before, but there was something uniquely heartbreaking about this boy's story. His blindness, his determination, and above all, his devotion to his mother. "I'd like to help," Alexander said finally. Leo shook his head quickly. "No, thank you, sir. I don't want charity. I just need enough to pay for my mom's medicine. It's not charity, Alexander assured him. Let me take you both somewhere safe tonight. At least until we figure out how to get your mom the care she needs. For the first time in what felt like forever, Leo allowed himself to feel a flicker of hope. Still, he couldn't shake the fear that this might be too good to be true. How can I trust you? Leo asked quietly. Alexander smiled warmly. You don't have to trust me yet. Just come with me tonight. If nothing else, let me make sure you're warm and fed. With some hesitation, Leo agreed. Alexander hailed a cab and guided him inside, ensuring the driver took them to Leo's makeshift shelter first to retrieve Maria. When they arrived, Alexander was struck by the bleakness of their living conditions. The crumbling walls, the damp floor, and Maria lying weakly on a pile of blankets. We're leaving, Leo told his mother gently. This man says he'll help us. Maria, weak but trusting of her son, nodded. Together, the three of them climbed into the cab, heading toward safety and warmth. As they drove away, Alexander made a silent promise to himself. He wouldn't just provide temporary relief, he would change their lives completely. Little did Leo know, his song had already begun to weave a new chapter, one filled with hope, healing, and unexpected blessings. The next morning, Leo woke up in a warm, clean bed for the first time in years. He blinked against the unfamiliar brightness of sunlight streaming through the window, unsure if he was dreaming. The room smelled of fresh linen and lavender, a stark contrast to the musty odor of their old shed. Beside him, Maria slept peacefully, her breathing steady thanks to the medication Alexander had arranged overnight. As Leo cautiously stepped out of the bedroom, he found himself in a spacious apartment furnished with modern comforts. In the living room, Alexander sat typing on his laptop, pausing when he noticed Leo standing there awkwardly. Good morning, Alexander greeted warmly. How's your mom? She's resting, Leo replied, still wary but curious. Where are we? My place, Alexander explained. I wanted to make sure you both were safe while we figure out the next steps. Leo frowned slightly. Next steps. Alexander closed his laptop and leaned forward, his expression serious yet kind. Leo, I've done some research. Your mother needs specialized care, something only top doctors can provide. I'm going to cover all her medical expenses until she's fully recovered. Leo's eyes widened in disbelief. But why? Why would you do that for us? Because everyone deserves a chance, Alexander said simply. And because your courage and love for your mother reminded me of what truly matters. Tears welled up in Leo's sightless eyes as he processed Alexander's words. No one had ever offered them such kindness before, yet doubt lingered in his mind. What do you want from us? Leo asked hesitantly. People don't just give things without expecting something in return. Alexander chuckled softly. You're smart to ask that question. But I promise you, this isn't about gaining anything. It's about giving back. You've been carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders for far too long. Let me help lighten that load. Over the next few days, Alexander arranged for Maria to receive treatment at one of the best hospitals in the city. Doctors assured them that with proper care, her condition could improve significantly. Meanwhile, Alexander enrolled Leo in a local school for visually impaired children, ensuring he received the education he deserved. At first, Leo struggled to accept these changes. Years of hardship had taught him to be skeptical of generosity. But Alexander's persistence and genuine concern slowly broke down his defenses. I'll pay you back someday, Leo promised one evening as they sat together in the apartment. Every penny. Alexander smiled. Don't worry about paying me back. Instead, focus on becoming the best version of yourself. That's how you'll honor this opportunity. Inspired by Alexander's belief in him, Leo began exploring new interests beyond music. At school, he discovered a talent for storytelling, using vivid imagery and emotion to paint pictures with words. His teachers praised his creativity, encouraging him to pursue writing as a passion. As weeks turned into months, Maria's health steadily improved. She often joined Leo and Alexander during meals, sharing stories of her own childhood and marveling at how much her son had grown. For the first time in years, laughter filled their home instead of despair. One afternoon, as Leo practiced singing in the living room, Alexander watched with admiration. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "your voice has the power to inspire others. Maybe one day, you'll share it with the world. Not just on street corners, but on stages." Leo stopped mid-song, surprised by the suggestion. "Stages? Like concerts?" "Exactly," Alexander replied with a grin. "Why limit yourself when you have so much to offer?" Though overwhelmed by the idea, Leo couldn't deny the spark of excitement it ignited within him. With Alexander's guidance, he realized his future held endless possibilities, if only he dared to dream big enough. Little did either of them know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would transform not only their lives but countless others touched by their story. As months passed, Leo and Maria's lives underwent a remarkable transformation. With Alexander's support, Maria regained her strength and vitality, no longer burdened by the illness that had once consumed her. She began volunteering at the hospital where she'd been treated, offering comfort to other patients and sharing stories of hope inspired by her own journey. For Leo, the changes were equally profound. Attending school opened doors he'd never imagined possible. His teachers recognized his potential not only as a musician but also as a writer and storyteller. Encouraged by Alexander, Leo started performing at local events, charity galas, community gatherings, and even small concerts. Each performance was met with thunderous applause, and soon, word of the blind boy with the angelic voice spread throughout the city. One evening, after a particularly moving performance at a benefit concert, a renowned music producer approached Alexander. "That boy is extraordinary," the producer said. "Has anyone ever considered recording him professionally?" Alexander smiled knowingly. "I've thought about it, yes, but I want to ensure any opportunities align with his values and mine. Fame isn't the goal here. It's about using his talent to inspire others." The producer nodded in agreement. "Understood. If you're interested, let me know. The world needs more voices like his." When Alexander shared the idea with Leo, the boy was hesitant. "What if people don't like my songs? What if they laugh at me because I'm blind?" "No one will laugh," Alexander assured him. "They'll see your heart, Leo. That's what makes your music special." With Alexander's encouragement, Leo agreed to record a single, a heartfelt ballad dedicated to his mother and all the struggles they'd overcome together. The song, titled Threads of Light, quickly gained traction online, resonating with listeners around the globe. Its message of resilience and love struck a chord, earning millions of views and sparking an outpouring of support. Meanwhile, Alexander expanded his efforts to help others in similar situations. Inspired by Leo's story, he launched a foundation called Voices of Hope, aimed at supporting underprivileged children with disabilities. The organization provided scholarships, medical aid, and mentorship programs, ensuring that kids like Leo had the resources they needed to thrive. Leo became the face of the foundation, traveling alongside Alexander to speak at events and share his journey. Though initially nervous about public speaking, Leo found courage in knowing his words might inspire someone else to keep going. "Life is hard sometimes," he told audiences during one speech, "but kindness exists even when you can't see it. And sometimes, all it takes is one person believing in you to change everything." His message resonated deeply, especially among those who had faced adversity themselves. People began referring to Leo as the boy who sang for hope, a symbol of perseverance and gratitude. Despite their newfound success, Leo and Maria remained grounded, never forgetting where they came from. They often visited their old neighborhood, bringing food and supplies to families still struggling. For Leo, it was a way to pay forward the kindness Alexander had shown them. "You've done so much for us," Maria said to Alexander one evening as they sat together on the balcony of his apartment. "How can we ever thank you?" "You already have," Alexander replied with a smile. "By proving that no matter how tough life gets, there's always room for hope and for kindness." Their bond had grown into something unbreakable, a testament to the power of compassion and trust. Through Alexander's generosity and Leo's determination, they had created a circle of support that extended far beyond themselves. Little did they know, their story was about to reach even greater heights, inspiring countless others to believe in the transformative power of giving and resilience. Years later, Leo stood on a grand stage in front of thousands of people at the annual Voices of Hope Gala. The event celebrated the foundation's success, how it had transformed the lives of countless children and families across the country. As he gripped the microphone, his unseeing eyes turned toward the audience. Leo felt a deep sense of gratitude. What had started as a desperate attempt to save his mother had grown into something far greater than he ever imagined. Alexander sat in the front row, smiling proudly as he watched Leo deliver his speech. "When I sang on those cold streets years ago," Leo began, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "I never dreamed anyone would listen. Not really. I just wanted to help my mom. But what happened next taught me an important lesson. Kindness matters. Compassion matters. And no matter how small your actions may seem, they can spark a chain reaction of positive change." The audience erupted into applause, many wiping away tears. For Leo, this moment wasn't about recognition. It was about reminding everyone present that they, too, had the power to make a difference. After the ceremony, Maria approached him with tears streaming down her face. "You've changed so many lives, Leo, including mine," she said softly. "I'm so proud of you." Leo shook his head, humbled. "No, Mom. None of this would have been possible without you and Alexander. You both gave me strength when I needed it most." Nearby, Alexander joined them, placing a hand on Leo's shoulder. "You've inspired more people than you know," Alexander said warmly. "Your courage reminds us all what truly matters, helping others, even when it's hard." Their bond had become unbreakable over the years, a testament to how compassion creates lasting connections. Together, they had built something extraordinary, a movement that uplifted the downtrodden and restored faith in humanity. Through it all, Leo remained humble, always crediting his journey to the kindness of strangers. He often visited schools and community centers, mentoring children who faced challenges similar to his own. His message was simple yet powerful. No matter how dark things seem, there's always light, if you're willing to look for it. And sometimes, that light comes from unexpected places. As the years passed, Leo's music career flourished. His songs topped charts worldwide, each one carrying messages of hope and resilience. Yet despite his fame, he stayed true to his roots, using his platform to advocate for underserved communities. One evening, as Leo and Alexander walked through the bustling streets of the city, they stopped near the very corner where Leo used to sing. The area had transformed dramatically, now vibrant with art murals, street performers, and local vendors. A plaque commemorating Leo's journey stood nearby, inscribed with the words, "From darkness to light, one voice can change the world." "This is where it all began," Alexander mused, glancing at Leo. Leo nodded, a soft smile on his face. "And now, we're helping others find their own light." In that moment, surrounded by the hum of laughter and music, they both realized something profound. Their connection wasn't just about saving lives. It was about creating a legacy of compassion that would touch countless others. For Alexander, meeting Leo had reignited his belief in the goodness of humanity. For Leo, Alexander's generosity had proven that even in the bleakest moments, hope could be found. Together, they had shown the world that kindness transcends wealth, status, or circumstance. It simply requires an open heart and a willingness to act. Years later, Leo's story had become a beacon of hope for millions. His journey from a blind homeless boy singing on the streets to an internationally acclaimed artist and advocate inspired countless individuals to believe in the power of resilience and kindness. Yet, for Leo, the true measure of success wasn't fame or accolades. It was the lives he and Alexander had touched along the way. Through the Voices of Hope Foundation, thousands of children with disabilities received scholarships, medical care, and mentorship. Many went on to pursue careers in music, art, and science, breaking free from the cycles of poverty that once held them back. Schools named auditoriums after Leo, and community centers hosted annual events celebrating his message of perseverance. One day, while visiting a rural village where the foundation had built a new school, Leo met a young girl named Anaya. She was blind like him and had been abandoned by her family, left to fend for herself on the streets. When Leo heard her story, he knelt beside her, taking her small hand in his. "I know how you feel," he said gently. "It's hard when it feels like no one sees you, but trust me, they will. Your voice matters, Anaya. Never stop believing that." Tears filled Anaya's eyes as she clung to his words. Later that evening, she sang a song for him, a soft, hesitant melody that carried the weight of her pain and dreams. Leo listened intently, nodding with approval. "That's beautiful," he told her. "Keep singing. One day, the whole world will hear your voice." Moments like these reminded Leo why he continued fighting, for every child who felt invisible, for every parent struggling to provide, for every person who doubted their worth. His life was proof that even the smallest acts of kindness could create waves of change. Meanwhile, Alexander's actions inspired other wealthy individuals to follow suit. Philanthropists around the globe began investing in underserved communities, creating programs modeled after Voices of Hope. Conferences were held to discuss the importance of bridging gaps between privilege and poverty, with Leo and Alexander often invited as keynote speakers. During one such event, Alexander addressed the audience with heartfelt sincerity. "When I met Leo, I saw not just a boy in need but a symbol of hope," he said. "He taught me that wealth isn't measured by what you have. It's measured by what you give. If each of us commits to helping just one person, imagine the ripple effect we can create." The crowd erupted into applause, moved by his words. For many, it was a wake-up call, a reminder that success without purpose was empty. As time passed, Leo's bond with Alexander grew stronger, transcending mentorship to become a deep friendship rooted in mutual respect and admiration. They often joked about how different their lives were before fate brought them together. "I was lost before I heard you sing," Alexander admitted during one quiet evening at home. "You reminded me of what really matters. And you saved us," Leo replied, his voice thick with gratitude. "Not just my mom and me, but everyone whose life you've touched since." In the end, their story wasn't just about two people, it was about humanity itself. It was about finding light in darkness, strength in vulnerability, and connection in moments of despair. Underneath the stars, surrounded by the echoes of laughter and music, Leo and Alexander reflected on how far they'd come. Their legacy wasn't written in stone or etched in plaques. It was alive in the hearts of those they'd helped. And though neither knew exactly what the future held, one thing was certain. Their circle of compassion would continue inspiring acts of kindness for generations to come. And so, the ripple of hope continued, spreading outward and touching hearts across the world. One selfless act had sparked a movement, one that would endure long after Leo and Alexander were gone. If this story inspired you, don't forget to share it with friends and family. Let us know in the comments, what's the kindest thing you've ever done? Your stories inspire us to keep creating tales that matter.